Hey everyone, this is Belinda Carr. Welcome back to the Boost AEC podcast, where we dive into the world of construction and explore the stories of people and companies who are shaping the future of our industry. Today, I'm speaking with Valentin Noves, CEO of Everse. Thanks for joining us, Valentin.
Hi, Belinda. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I have to say I haven't heard about your company for too long. I think uh, I don't know why. It seems like y'all are doing some really cool stuff for the AEC industry, and I'm a little bit ashamed that I haven't come across your team earlier. But I am excited about this podcast, and I'm looking forward to learning more about all the services that y'all provide. It seems like you've gathered a really fun group of people, Valentin, because I was going through your About Us section on your website. I love the matching red overalls that your entire team wore for the group photo. That was awesome. Right on brand.
That was a super fun day. I remember that everybody was so committed to having a fun photo shoot that we bought the overalls, and then we had to paint everything, the study and all the objects to fit the exact same Pantone of the clothes and of the brand. So it was a whole lot of work for the marketing team for sure.
Oh my gosh, wow. They were committed to it though. It came out perfect. It came out absolutely perfect. I will say that. So for people like me who are new to your company, don't know too much about it, tell us more about Everse. When did you start it and what motivated you to start the company?
Let me start with who we are, maybe.
Yeah.
I typically say that we're just geeks from the industry. Most of us are architects and civil engineers who love coding and been coding for a long time. And we want to change how things are being done in the industry and excited about implementing technology in the industry. So we pair up with a really big team of software developers. So we have the right mix of software developers and people from the industry who know the technical stuff. And basically we work with either startups, helping them grow their products and helping them, develop what they're doing. Or
Startups in
we
the
most
AEC industry.
yeah, startups in
Yeah.
the AC. Yeah,
Yeah.
we only work on the AC. That's a good clarification. Um, and then the other portion of the business is mostly on helping how to automate process on complex buildings like data centers, solar plants, microchip factories. So those are the two branches that we have in our company.
How did you get
Um,
into this? Because obviously, everything you're talking about, there's a definite need for it. Like data processing, 3D viewing. I'm reading through all the services that you'll provide, data visualization, process automation. These are terms that I come across every single day. And to have a team or a company like yours that is specialized in this field and can provide like really good support for all these other companies, it's there's a definite need for it. But what motivated you to start this 3 years ago? Were you working for an architecture, interior design, or an engineering company, and you noticed that there was a niche that needed to be filled?
it was kind of a mix. For me, I'm an architect. So right after I got out of college, I actually already had my own company. We were automating architectural assets for the gaming industry, and it was super fun at the time. I already knew how to code, um, and I sold that company. But then I decided, you know what, I will start using my title a little bit and became a BIM manager first, then started working as a CTO at a BIM company, and then finally I started working with an owner in Las Vegas for the construction of a really large casino. Um, so my background, it was kind of a mix of different positions, you could say. But then after working with this owner and I moved to Silicon Valley and I was working with a BIM company where we're automating processes for the industry, and it was so hard. I was trying to create my own software development team, and it was so hard, to find the right talent that knew the industry and knew also about software development. Like it was so hard for me. Like
Yeah.
I would either get a software developer that knew nothing about the industry, uh, or I would just get an architect who would know a little bit of scripting, which is not,
It's not enough.
robust software development, not enough. So that's why when I decided, you know what, I already had my own company. I want to have a new company again, and I want to solve this problem and create a team where we can actually provide services that have the best of both worlds.
So I'm not going to say I went down the exact same path as you, but I came from an architecture background as well. I got bachelor's and master's, and I got really passionate about learning about automation in construction, and I taught myself Python and Dynamo. But I got stuck, and it's exactly what you're describing. Like there are lots of engineers and architects who dabble on the software side, but it is so hard to get past that threshold where you can actually call yourself a developer or a coder. Because and like if you go through my early YouTube videos, those are all Python, Dynamo scripts, and all that stuff. But how did you manage to break that threshold? Is it just personal passion that you had, that you just went out and said, I am going to learn this particular programming language because it is vital for my career?
I think it was first be surrounded with really amazing software developers. That helps you because I feel there is no way for an architect or a civil engineer to break that barrier. Exactly as you're mentioning, if you don't have exposure to working with a real team of software developers
Because it's like
that
learning
can
a
teach you.
language, right? Because like learning Spanish or Italian or anything else. Because if you're not speaking it every single day, you're not going to get any better. You're so right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I really like the analogy of the language, and I think it can even much more complex than that because it's not only about learning like C# or Python really well, but you need to learn about UX UI, front end, back end, infrastructure, DevOps, testing, at least a basic language so you can work with this type of profiles. So I think that's a problem of our industry that I love what you do because you speak about all these tech companies out there, and I think the problem of architects not being able to break these barriers because there are not enough opportunities out there for them to work with software developers.
That's such a good point. So, how did you manage to find similar minded people like you to grow your team? Because you have quite a number, your team's quite large now. Is it around 30 people or so?
Yeah, yeah, we're a little bit above 30. Um, and at the beginning, I think the first few employees and associates, I think it was the easiest because it was my friends that felt the same way. My friends from the industry that felt the same way. The problem was scaling this up, and we we also reached a wall where we couldn't find any other like architects or engineers with enough experience. So when we reached that wall, we decided we need to create this profile. So we started, you know, hiring people who are like maybe not junior, but they don't have enough exposure to software developers. So we hire them. We kind of like train them for a couple of months until they're ready to actually work on real world projects. And the same applies for software developers. We typically take software developers. We even train them how to use Revit, for example, and they're frustrated. They don't like
Like,
it.
this is such an archaic software. Why is the entire industry using this?
Yeah, like even the APIs. I remember one of the first developers came to me one day. He was like, "I don't understand this API. Can you explain me this concept?" And the concept was a pipe. And I was like, "What do you mean a pipe?" "Yeah, I don't know what it is." It's like a pipe of water. Water runs through it. And he was like, "Oh, I get it now." When you are from outside the industry,
Yeah.
like a pipe or a wall or whatever, a beam or a joist,
Yeah.
it's not common language for you.
So, is that one of the major hurdles that you face growing your business? The training of all these people, whether it's people from the architecture side, training them to be more proficient on the software side and vice versa?
I think it's one of the hurdles we get for sure, like how to train people and also retain those people. Because once you created a Frankenstein that knows about everything,
They're
many other
so
companies
unique.
tries to,
Yeah.
they try to steal it from you. So how you make them engage with what you're doing and engage with the company. So that's one side of the coin. The other side is, with the startups it's easy, but with GCs, architects, it's hard sometimes to sell them, and the worst are architects, and I can say that because I'm an architect myself. But it's hard even when you explain to them like the return of investment and everything that they will. It's hard. They don't want to invest, and we're talking about $1 billion projects.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the projects that you have worked on. Yeah, you have this excellent case study section on your website talking about all these AEC startups, general contractors, and architects that you have worked with. But what are the memorable ones that come to mind, like in the last 3 years that of your business?
Um, let's see. There are so many, but I could mention one that it was really challenging was we were working for a company out of New York, and they were basically trying to create a marketplace for IoT devices. And the idea was that you're supposed to upload your BIM model, your Revit model, and then we will automatically tell you where you're supposed to locate your IoT devices. So, for example, if it's a hospital, you need, I don't know, card readers on certain places, or cameras, or like whatever.
Yeah.
And it was a challenging project because it might sound easy, but how do you define when you have like 10 different type of buildings, and how do you find where a card reader is when the data of a model is not precise enough, right? How do you define it? Like if the naming of the rooms are not consistent, you don't have a standard that, and it was kind of a really, really hard project to work on. But in the end, we have to create an ontology and a schema that created relationships and validated data. So then we could propose IoT devices. So then you could purchase it directly from the website. So
So that's such a,
that was one
oh
fun
my gosh,
project.
that sounds, so there's this phrase, garbage in, garbage out, right? But y'all can't do that, because even if y'all receive garbage from whoever designs this an incomplete model, y'all have to do anything y'all can to make sure that what you send back to them is a robust model. Everything's positioned in the right place, located in the right spots, everything works properly. That's a difficult thing to overcome.
It was, but I at some point we added a wall that if you didn't meet certain criteria, it's like, hey, you didn't meet certain criteria, you need to fix it and come back. Otherwise, it's impossible. Like everybody speaks about AI, but if you don't have a standardized data, there is no way you can implement AI on top of a model.
Completely agree. Like, how do you run a successful, efficient business when the people who are giving you all the data is not, they're not even concerned with getting everything the right at the right level? So that's very true. What about, I saw this other fabrication tools. That's another project that you all worked on. Like, how, at what level of detail did you provide the client when you started diving into the fabrication side of it? Because we have a little bit of experience building like spools and all the stuff for data centers. So I'm very interested in that, because all the fabrication software out there, whether it's, this, they're not robust.
Yeah.
It's fabrication is an extremely frustrating thing to a frustrating area to be in. So what sort of services did you all provide for that project?
So on that specific project, it was a whole team of software developers. Like the company at the time didn't have any software developers, so we were the only team they had. And it was such a fun project because they were basically trying to connect models directly to machines, not just format in between. No, it was just direct link between one and the other. And the problem, like you said, is first garbage in, garbage out. So you need to make sure that the spools are correctly labeled and the sizes are correct. Otherwise, you don't have a second chance because that's going to go directly to a machine. And for us, it was so much fun because we consider that the AEC is archaic. Man, the cutting machines are in, I don't know, in the 1,000 years ago were created. I don't know, the APIs, the languages that we're using, it was so old. So it was hard coming from Revit and then having to actually control a machine, uh, and it's a machine that it can be dangerous. So you need to take a lot of precautions, and you're not controlling the machine yourself, but maybe a server that is 1,000 miles away. So, and the programming language that is really limited, like Visual Basic, or there was even one machine running on Assemble or COBOL, which is really old. So it was a challenging and fun thing, but I feel that we need more projects in the industry that are making the connections between actually design and fabrication, like you mentioned.
Yeah. It seems like y'all have a lot of one off projects. Like y'all provide a ton of services to the industry, but everything you do is so varied. Like data visualization, data processing and visualization and analytics is so different compared to fabrication level drawings and spools. So, how do you assemble a team that does something so varied?
Well, I think we first of all, I have a team that has very diverse skills. We have, for example, a Unity specialist that knows everything about computational design using Unity. We have an AI specialist. We have a DevOps a specialist. So we have a lot of specialists in our company. That means that we know everything. Not really, to be honest. There's a lot or most stuff that we don't know of. But typically, what we do is we always try to be fair with the client. If it is something that we have never done, we always consult either with other companies, and we try to understand if this is something that someone has ever done before. If that's the case, we always like to consult, and sometimes we even tell our clients, you know what, this product is so much better than a custom solution. You better buy it and not another custom solution, because my goal is for the client to be happy, even that means he's not gonna
Be your
buy
client.
from us.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, you need to be fair with them. So typically that's what we do, and just in case that, and this is really common, companies coming with problems that nobody has ever solved, because in our industry, we need a lot of technology. We're also transparent with them, like, you know what, this is specific problem is something that we don't have experience on. Maybe let's do a POC. We suggest to do it in this way, and we can prove with a POC if it's doable or not. So we always try to be realistic. Like, there is no company that knows everything. So that's how we do it. A combination of a great team with diverse talent, being transparent and checking out there if it's something that somebody has ever done before. And finally, if it's something new, just do a POC or something where you can prove your thesis.
So, how do you find all these clients? Do they come to you, or is there a lot of education and reaching out that you and your team have to do?
I guess on the startup side, it's easier because they understand the value, because they have gone through the pain of not having the right talent, and it's really typical of working with us that they come to us. It's like, you know what, I don't like to outsource, and I'm like, what? Yeah, I don't like to outsource because we have had really bad experiences. And when I start asking to them, it's like, what type of companies have you hired? And they're like, well, just regular software factories. And that's the big problem, when there are really amazing software factories out there, but they're not specific to our industry. And that changes all. So with them, it's we could say it's easier, and it's more of a word of mouth. One client recommends us to another, and then another, and then another. Um, and with I feel the trying to like I guess teach and explain, a lot of explaining, and comes when we have to work with these clients that are doing data centers or solar plants or these complex buildings. For me, it's just insane the archaic way they do things. Like, for example, one time we were working with a really well-known social media that we all have on our phones. I cannot say the name, but and even when they're really big tech company on their infrastructure part of the company, they were not implementing much technology. They were just using Revit, modeling everything manually, not automating anything on the data center side. So for us, it's a surprise, and you have to explain to them and prove that there's going to be a huge return of investment in those type of projects.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit more about data center clients, because that is one of the biggest sectors in the construction industry now. It has just exploded in the last 3 years. And I work on data center. My husband works on data center clients. Everyone I know has data center clients right now. That most of the projects are data center projects. Texas, especially, my gosh, it's just exploding everywhere. So, what sort of services do you provide data center? I don't want to name any names, but data center clients.
That's a good
Because the shell
question.
of the building is really it's very simple. There's nothing to the shell.
It is.
Everything is inside. It's so complex inside. The mechanical systems, the HV, everything is, they're so specialized, and it's such a long-term project because these data centers are massive. They take like 7 years to complete. So by the time you're at year 6, all the technology that they thought they were going to use was basically obsolete. So how do you help these data center clients?
That's so accurate. Like that data centers it's booming. That and solar plants are the two buildings that everybody's working on. Absolutely. In our case, we help with where we feel it's the most tedious process, which is the design of the fiber optic cables. Because cable trays are easy. You just put the cable trays in place. And the HVAC is complex. It's true, but it's just another HVAC system sometimes. But on the fiber optic cables, it's a huge problem because, first of all, you have thousands of these data centers that we were working on. There were more than 300,000 fiber optic cables.
Wow.
And it was huge. And the problem you have with fiber optic cables is, as you know, they're really expensive. One fiber optic cable might cost like $5,000 or $6,000, just one fiber optic cable. And the problem you have is that first, it takes a lot of time to design those because you need like redundancy, right? Like a lot of redundancy, and there are paths that cannot cross, and like a big logic. And then once you have designed that, you have to model that so you can take the exact length, because if you
can't estimate 30% extra.
Correct, you cannot. And if you fell short, that's another problem, because welding fiber optic cables is really expensive and takes too much time. So basically what we did there is we basically take the start and end points, like it's going from this rack to this rack unit, and basically we generate with AI the whole layout, and then with the whole layout we basically create conduits and runs, and then we import that into Revit. And that's a really fun project, because with one of these clients, it was taking them like 5 months with 2 BIM modelers model the whole fiber optic cable, just model them, and we reduced that to 5 days. So for us, it was
That's
huge.
amazing. And so when you talk about the AI aspect of it, is that a proprietary software that you and your team have developed?
Yeah, Yeah, but we basically did. I can tell you if you're open to it. I can tell you a little
Sure.
bit. So basically, what we did is we kind of like use an algorithm, kind of like Google Maps works. The problem is you would think is fiber optic cables is a 3D world, right? It goes from one rack unit, goes up through a cable tray, and then goes down. So what we did is we map out. We did like when you open a box, we converted the 3D into a 2D, and then use the 2D algorithm for the routing, and then reconvert it back into 3D and export it into Revit. So it was a fun proprietary
Damn,
algorithm that
wow.
we have developed.
That's really smart. Wow. So hopefully that is something that you all can provide for future clients too. It wasn't just for that one-off project because I assume that took quite a bit of time and resources to develop.
Yes, it was. The good thing is like the IP, it's ours. We made sure to maintain the IP. So basically, it's something that we're trying to do more and more, work with different clients and understand the way they do data centers. But you always need to do some adaptation to each client because they all do it in a different way. Like it's just crazy the variations they do on how they lay out and stack their
Because
fiber
you
optic
think a data
cables. But
center is a data center, it serves the same purpose, but no, my data center has to be different than the other guy's data center. Yeah, that's true.
yes,
Have you identified any other niches in the market that haven't been filled yet? Because you all have quite a bit of services, like we already discussed. But what are some future plans to grow the services that you provide the industry?
we we want to keep working on complex buildings like microchip factories and um, data centers and solar plants. We want to keep working on those, but instead of just providing the automation for a specific piece of the project, we want to go downstream and help with the construction and the estimation of these projects as well. Um, that's something that they all struggle with, and you should be able to use AI and with the historical data to actually help them develop a better project on the construction phase. So that's what we're planning for now.
I have to ask you about the name of your company, Everse. It doesn't. How did you come up with that name? Because it doesn't signify that y'all are in the AEC industry. It doesn't hint that y'all are an AI company. How did you come up with the name Everse?
I'm not sure I want to say this, but I'm a practical person, so I just gave an AI model to tell me a list of 10 names and just chooses. It was a combination of available domains and and names that sound good and were short. So for me, it was just pure practical decision that took me 5 minutes.
Well, I guess it's worked for your company. That's pretty cool. So I recently published a video on why modular construction companies
I
fail.
saw it.
So
It ran for
yeah,
Qatar, and yeah, I saw it.
and
That's really cool.
yeah, it's been weirdly popular on LinkedIn. But anyway, we have seen like over the last 2 years, especially a lot of money going into construction technology. There's a lot of innovation. A lot of venture capital companies are interested in it. They're just trying to find the next unicorns that they can make money out of. And you work with a lot of startups at Everse, right? So are you pretty selective with the type of clients that you work with, or because you have to be careful, like picking the right clients, picking the right projects? How do you analyze startups from like a successful relationship standpoint?
That's a really good question. I have made really big mistakes in the past, so that's why we have learned it the hard way. And now we do select our clients, and we have said not like a lot of times. Um, something that we take into consideration is first the founder. Like if we see a founder that like they want results immediately, like we don't choose it because there's no way, and it takes time. Unfortunately, there is no magic button that you can press and immediately pressing up something and then immediately getting clients. That's not going to happen. And even more in our industry, you know how
How
the Procore
slow.
example, yeah, it's slow, right? It takes years. There is no AC company that they have grown really fast in 2 years. That's not even happening in our
Yeah.
industry. So that's something that we they don't want to understand that in a first or second call,
It's
and
like a
they
red
just want,
flag to your team. You're like, no,
yeah, for
maybe
me it's a
we
red
don't need.
flag, and it's like we cannot provide you something that is going to be immediate. You're better off with someone else who can do that. I don't know. Um, so we focus first on the founder, that he understands also our differentiator. If they think like that they come with us because, I don't know, we might be or more expensive or cheaper or whatever reason, but they don't care about the differentiator that we know more about the industry, that's also another red flag because you don't see the value out of it, and it's okay, but we don't want to work with those type of clients. And then we focus a lot on the product itself. I've seen companies or founders that can pitch to us, and first their product, it might not be a good solution. They might want to create, I don't know, a competition of HubSpot, and it's like, you know what, you're not going to compete with HubSpot. You need to change a little bit, or you need to do something to differentiate yourself if you're going to go against, or the next Rabbit. Sure, you want to do the next Rabbit. You have the money to do it. No, that
I've
then
spoken to
you're
so many companies that
yeah,
say that. Oh my gosh. Yep.
yeah. Do you need the next Rabbit? That's the other question is like, your clients are asking for another Rabbit, or it's something you
You
feel
think you need.
that
Exactly.
correct. And it's fine.
Yeah.
You can make mistakes, and or you want to pursue that, it's fine, but we typically explain to them like, you know what, we don't see you have a good foundation on the idea. um in When their clients will understand that, and they're willing to listen to us, and we love those clients, but if a client doesn't want to listen to us, it's fine. They can just go and find another company. Um, but we have seen many clients or potential clients that have gone bankrupt in the last 2 years, and I cannot say that they all made a bad work, not a
Yeah.
bad job, because it sometimes is about luck, sometimes it's about timing, right? Um, but every time that we have seen a company that's like, oh, the founder is not aligned with the idea and the market, and there are so many red flags, they never make it. They never make it. When there are so many red flags, they never make it. And for me, it's just crazy.
You all need to act as advisors to venture capital firms and give them all this valuable insight that you have gathered. That can be another service that you'll provide.
We have considered that. Actually, with one of my partners, right? We're based in the US, but I was born in South America, and it's a South America or Latin America. It's a really big market, and there are not many startups. So we have just paired up with one university down in Argentina, and we are doing a pre-accelerator for helping architects and civil engineers to actually create their startup on the AEC.
That's
So
cool. Wow. That's very cool.
yeah,
Hope some really cool company comes out of that incubator.
yeah. Hopefully, we're just doing this out of goodwill, and
Yeah.
not for profit.
Like giving back
Um,
to the community. Yeah.
yeah, giving back to the community. Helping these guys who have great ideas, but that for me it's just amazing how like architects or engineers come to us when thinking that the only thing they can do is design or
Traditional
calculate.
route. Yes.
Yeah, traditional route. They don't think, and when I try to explain them, like, if you create a product, you're still gonna be an architect. You're just gonna add value from a different perspective, but that doesn't mean you're gonna have less value than the architect who is designing a really nice building.
Completely agree. Completely agree, Valentin. And I feel like we both taking alternative paths. I, I'm in awe of what you have built, you and your team have built, and I'm not comparing myself to you all in any way. But I do want to end the podcast asking you a question. What advice would you have for a young architect or young engineer? Because that's kind of the industry that you're in. A young architect or young engineer who wants to find that alternative path. Like seems like you tell them, think outside the box, think broader, learn a programming language. What advice, I guess, would you encourage more architects to learn programming at an earlier stage? Because it's like learning English or it's like learning Spanish. It's just a vital part of your curriculum nowadays.
It's a really good question. I think that learning a programming language, the earliest the better, for sure. But I don't think it's a must for architects. I always consider that architects, right? You know how to put together a wall, for example, right?
But
how many times have you, in theory, but how many times have you actually put it together? You have never done it, right? But you know how it's done. So for me, with programming, it's the same. If I'm an architect and I'm going to add value, I'm going to create my own startup, I don't need to know how to code. I just need to understand how the process works so I can hire people and tell them what to do. So for sure, learning programming is helpful, but you don't actually need to be a really good coder and not learn a lot about programming. It's just about the path you want to follow. If you want to be a really deep technical person that loves to code or wants to be a CTO, or sure, just code hard early as possible and become a software developer and architect at the same time, amazing. But if you're not passionate about being a software developer, the idea is not to be a CTO, but to create your own path, there are so many other things you could do, like being a UX UI designer. There are not many good UX UI designers, and architects are perfect for that. And you need software development skills for that. You can be a tester, you can be a project owner and define the product. Like, there is so much you can do. So typically it's like, instead of encouraging just programming, I always encourage young architects to try a little bit of everything and find your own path.
That's such great advice. So I lived in San Francisco for a little while in 2014 after I graduated. And that was the first time I came across UX and UI design. And it felt like everyone, all the architects, the young architects I worked with, they were leaving the industry in droves just to go work at Microsoft and Meta and, well, back then Facebook, just to be UX UI designers there, because that was the gateway to get out of this low-paying profession into the tech industry. And I tried. I actually did try. I interviewed at an architecture firm here in Dallas, and I was turned down. They offered me they said, we'll give you an opportunity for an unpaid internship. And I was like, I'm trying to earn more money. I'm not sure why I would accept an unpaid internship from you. So, but I did, diving into that just for a little while to understand UX UI design, test it out and do an interview with them, was such a great experience. It didn't work out, that's fine. But it was, like you're saying, test it out, try that. And then I got into BIM. I'm not an expert programmer, but at least I can understand C# and Python. And I guess architects are that jack of all trades. And it's so good to continue that curiosity, keep learning. Learn how drywall comes together, learn how structure comes together, learn how optical fibers are laid out. And then I guess it just comes automatically. Finding the niche, finding your true passion will just come automatically as you keep exploring all these different things in construction. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And you just also gave a really, really good advice, which is say no.
Say no.
Like, say no. Like, you don't have to accept a job that will not teach you anything new or will not pay you, or just say no. We need. I feel we architects are so used to like, yeah, let's work
I'll work
long
7 days
hours
a
and
week. I'll stay till
yeah,
midnight.
yeah, and it's not reasonable. Yeah, maybe 1 week a year, but not every week. And we need to get used to say no and add more value. If you're not adding enough value on just uh, doing drawings or doing design, then transform yourself and see how you can add more value and get paid more. But don't say yes. Just do something to change.
Correct. Completely agree, Valentin. And thank you so much for explaining everything that you're doing at Everse. I'm looking forward to seeing your company grow and provide much more value to our AEC industry, because what y'all are doing is is needed. It's definitely needed. But you're welcome back on the podcast at any time. And thanks again, Valentin. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Thanks so much for having me, Belinda, and I hope to also see more of your YouTube videos, which, by the way, I love them and they're amazing. And thanks for
Thank
all
you.
you do for the industry as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it. See you,
You're welcome.
Valentin.
Bye bye.